Alrighty, hello and welcome to the CREEDCAST. Just jumping here quickly at the start of this episode to mention that this was originally on the back end of our round 24 review, but I decided to cut it off and release it as its own episode and shorten that one and let this one have its space as well. So that's why when you get to the chat between me and Jamie, it sounds like you've just jumped in the middle of the conversation, because you kind of have, but that's why it is. That's about it. Let's get into it. Calm the pair. But yeah, as I said, we don't have an AFL preview, AFL men's preview this week, but we do have our AFLW side getting underway this weekend, which we will talk about a bit here now. You've got a ticket to the game, don't you?
I do have a ticket to the game. I'm
I love
actually
that.
doing lion feeding at Monardo during the day, so it's going to be a big day for me.
That's a hell of a day. Yeah,
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, cool day. Something
Yeah,
different for sure.
I mean,
Yeah, get to go
hopefully,
in the cage
yeah.
at Monardo Zoo.
I
The
was
lions are obviously outside the cage. Um,
hopefully,
well, yeah, I definitely hope so.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you want to make it to the showdown, but yeah, showdown three as it is in the AFLW against Adelaide, which is incredible that we're getting to this now. It's our first showdown at Alberton Oval, which is our home ground, obviously in the AFLW. Which again, I want to stress how awesome it is that the AFLW. I know there's some dickhead detractors out there, but the AFLW is an AFL competition, is the top level of the sport. Um, in Australia and de facto the world, and for women. And the fact that we have developed Albert and Oval, our home for over 140 years now, um, to be a place that we can have under lights footy for Port Adelaide, in the top level competition, having a
yeah.
showdown under lights on Saturday night, wearing the prison bars. The women have, if you're not aware, have got the right to wear the prison bars in the showdown as well. Is incredible that we get to see AFL footy at Alberton Oval in the prison bars against the Crows. You'll never get a more iconic location for a showdown. A place that's layered in history, culture, community, everything that the Crows are not. That's what we can provide. We're going to go in. We're underdogs by virtue of the Crows, being in the competition for longer, and they deservedly have a bit of history, having won a bunch, but they haven't won anything since we've been in the competition. So maybe that says something.
Yeah, now that
Yeah.
there's actually footballers playing in the AFLW as opposed to hockey players and swimmers and water polo players and stuff like that, yeah, it is a bit
Yeah.
harder to win.
Yeah, and yeah, since Port have been in, they haven't won. So yeah, how are you feeling about the opportunity to go to Alberton Oval? I know you and I. I mean, you and I met up a couple of years ago for I think the first AFLW
Yep,
game at Alberton Oval, but now
yep.
the opportunity to go watch the showdown there, watch the pinnacle of our in-state rivalry at Alberton Oval, watch the prison bars run out on Alberton Oval in AFL jerseys. How are you just feeling about that opportunity? Because and now, as I've said on the podcast earlier, I'm getting back for the final next week. When I was trying to do the machinations of returning for some footy, I was thought about trying to get back for this game, but didn't quite work out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was excited for the opportunity if it came up. So yeah, I just sure you must be buzzing for this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, any genuine opportunity to go watch football at Alberton is always a good opportunity, in my opinion. It's, yeah, God's country. Um, yeah, it's our soul, it's our heartland. So, yeah, and just looking forward to seeing continued improvement in our women's side. I, you know, don't know what to expect, but what the only thing I do expect is that we improve
Mhm.
for a new team, one of the newest teams in the league. That's all you can really hope for. We got away with what was it, 2 wins and a draw last season.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely hoping to push towards the 8. And that starts this Saturday. So yeah, loving the fact that we get to see the prison bars again. We brought it up last week. Again, a few detractors for that as well. My opinion is that if we had women's football, when Port Adelaide was still playing their men's side at Alberton Oval as well back before we entered the AFL. If there was women's football for longer than what there has been, they would be wearing that Guernsey anyway in the
Yeah.
SANFL. So makes sense. Always like to beat Adelaide Football Club. So yeah, looking forward to that opportunity. And so what was it? Last year's showdown, we showed a bit against them for a
Had the lead.
half.
Had the lead at
Um,
halftime.
so
Yeah.
yeah, there's some good players. I believe Ashley Saint is playing her 50th AFLW game.
Okay.
I could stand corrected on that. It's obviously very hard to do for the ladies because you're only playing, which is it, 10 games a season, which is
Yeah.
bullshit in my opinion. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think every level-headed person would understand that you're not going to get the same standard of professional football as you do with the men's competition. That's okay. That's okay. Like, I'm not necessarily going
Yeah,
there
go back and check out
expecting,
the men
yeah.
back in
Oh man,
1880
yeah.
when they were 10 years into playing footy.
Would have been pretty
Wasn't
painful
Yeah,
if
wasn't
you're
great.
using the lens of current day football
Hmm.
in comparison. But yeah,
Yeah, the women have
more or less
advanced
support.
far quicker than what men's football did. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We've got those pathways now. I love the fact that there's a
Mm.
professional pathway for women to take in football. Going there to support my club. That's
Mhm.
probably the most important thing for me. I love my club, and that includes a women's uh, top flight, excuse me, top flight team. Um, so yeah, like I said, all I hope for is improvement, and I hope we put up a good contest against the
Mm.
Crows.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we're this is the third showdown we're playing. Obviously, with the season only being 10 games, and so we only play one showdown a year, so we still haven't beaten the
And it
Crows.
might,
Obviously,
sorry to interject, it might only
yeah,
be that might be my only opportunity to go
yeah.
with the AFL Women's Comp. I know last season a lot of their home games didn't match up
Hmm.
with my schedule, so even more so why I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah,
And I'll let you finish what you were saying.
yeah. I have looked to later in the season. They've got a Thursday night game and then a Friday night game later in the year at Alberton. So I'm like keying in those ones for myself as well. Um, so yeah, we'll have to see about that. But
Yeah,
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 it's
sure.
yeah, really incredible. And again, just to start touching on some of the things that happened in the off season as far as what we're doing as a club, uh, it's still very youth focused, building towards having a sustainable club going forward. Our recruitment in the off season has been a lot of youth, obviously with draft and then priority signings as well. But we did bring in an All Australian midfielder as well, which I'll get to. Just a few list notes. I mean, obviously, I'll touch on first. Our coach Lauren Arnell, I think, signed on for another year extension on a
Yes, she
contract
did.
as coach. She also welcomed a baby over the off season as well. So congrats to her and her partner. Um, but as far as list notes, now it's extensive. Now, if I've missed anything, I apologize. I was trawling through all the news notes and just the way with the AFLW's development, it goes with priorities. It's not just a strict national draft. It's obviously a draft that is players can declare what
Like
state they want to
state
be get through.
based.
Yeah. Now that's changing next year, by the way. It
Yeah,
will be a true national draft, but with priority signing periods and then players going onto inactive lists and getting injury replacement players, there's a lot of different list changes that have happened across. So I'll try to I think I've got them covered here, but first couple to note, Indy Tahu, who like did an ACL last season after having a promising start to the season, and we love like she's a great player. So we hoped to have her back this year. She signed a 2-year extension in the offseason to her contract, which is great. So she's long term for Port Adelaide, but unfortunately, she's on the inactive list this year because her ACL recovery just hasn't progressed as hoped. So they've just put her on the inactive list, which maybe speaks to I don't know if that's something to do with just how AFLW works as far as it's just they don't have the same resources. But yeah, it's still her knee hasn't come across. But yeah,
I
hope
know
I
there's
just
been a lot of ACLs in the women's competition since it
yeah
started. I don't know if it's a biological thing either, or if it's just the fact that they're playing professional AFL football for the
Yeah.
first time. Well, I mean, it's been around for what, 10 years now,
Mm.
or close to that. So it's been long enough, but just that genuine history of playing football
Yeah.
as a
And just
kid
female.
and then growing up, conditioning your body in that regard. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And just
just unfortunate.
female
And
bodies
the season's
are
not long enough
structured.
for
Yeah, and
you
us.
to come back in like
Yeah, yeah. And the
if you
female
did it
body is
last
just
year.
structured differently as well. And if you, and again, if you don't have the same resources for strength and conditioning, because you don't have $1 million contract or whatever,
Yeah.
it does change. But yeah, but she's a great player and she will be back in 2025. Sucks that we don't get to see her back this year, but yeah, she's one that is on the inactive list, which we'll get to some of the replacements in a bit. Hannah Ewings, our inaugural Best
Yeah.
and Fairest winner, Rising Star Award winner in our inaugural season as well. She's taken personal leave from football, which she did have what probably last year was indifferent. I refer to it as like
Yeah.
we refer to it as a sophomore slump over in America, where if you have a great breakout year and then your second season, which is sophomore year in college, is a little bit less than yeah. But she still showed some flashes last year of what we loved about her in her first year. But she's taken a personal leave from football, which she posted on her Instagram. Which, full respect to her, she just said, "I'm taking leave from football, hoping to rediscover my love for the game." So she's clearly got some, and I say personal issues in the positive sense. It's not like she's just trying to discover if this is what she wants to do. Which on
Yeah.
the football side, as Port Adelaide fans, we go, "Fuck, we hope it is," because you're incredibly
You're a
talented and
gun.
you're an
Yeah.
absolute gun. But on the human side of it, we go, yeah, no, if that's, and that's the thing people need to accept about where AFLW is at the moment is it's not a true career pathway yet for a player. And I haven't seen it, but my wife's noted that she follows her on Instagram. And I think she's gone to culinary school, and
Right.
got a
Okay.
real passion for that. So she's studying at the moment for something that she has a passion in. She's also got a passion for football, and that's what she's had a passion for football, and that's what she's started doing. But she's got dueling passions. She's trying to figure out what she's doing. Um, I just wish her well in that. Like if she ends up like obviously again, a Port Adelaide fan side don't want her to leave the game completely, but as humans we have to understand, and as just objectively just understand that AFLW isn't a complete pathway yet. So she's well
Mm.
within her rights to figure out what she wants to do as a young woman. She's still only 21, 22 probably at this point. Maybe not even quite that. So
Very young, maybe not even that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think she was probably drafted a couple of years ago when she was 18. So yeah, she's maybe yeah. So she's taking personal leave. Obviously, Port still retain her rights of contract. So if she does choose to come back for football, then that Port will have her contract. But yeah, no, she's taken personal leave, and we wish her well in that. So that's another one. And again, she was an absolute gun. Obviously, Rising Star Award winner, which as we've talked about with AFL men's, it's a pretty high level of standard players that win those awards generally. So, Lauren Young, who was one of our priority signings in the
Mm.
offseason and are highly rated, she tore her ACL playing for Westies in the Sandful. So that's ruled her out for the year. Hannah Dunn, who's one of our inaugural listed players. A little bit more positive news. She's just on maternity leave for the season, so congrats to her, but she won't be playing, obviously, because she's got a bun in the oven. So best wishes to
Yeah.
her.
Intricacy of professional women's sport too. But yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
obviously the beauty of childbirth is amazing and yeah, yeah, wish her all the best.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's a positive one. That's known there. Like again, it's what you got to accept. Like get your head around with AFL women's. Yeah. There's the beauty of childbirth, which you know well as well. So, this is what's been crazy about going through the list to see because there's different reasons players are out. Obviously, Yasmin Dersma was traded to Carlton. Latonya Cockatoo Motlop was not offered a contract. Lily Johnson was sent to Melbourne in the 11-team trade that ended up with Kirsty Lamb at Port.
Yeah,
Uh,
good pickup.
Obviously, yes, yeah, an incredible pickup. We'll get to that. Obviously, we had the retirement of Aaron Phillips, which we all know, which has seen a change in the leadership group with obviously Janelle Cuthbertson named as captain. Justine Mules Robinson, which big congrats to her by the way, because that was Justine Mules the last time we saw her on the field, but she's got married in the off season, so she's a slight change to the surname. there with the hyphen. She's named as vice captain, Ange Foley and Ash Saint rounding out the leadership group there. Now, additions, we've got, I mentioned, probably first one to mention, the probably big addition. There's been a few. Kirsty Lamb comes across as an All-Australian midfielder from the Western Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
She's got a
Yep.
good family connection to Port. Her uncle, Paul Rizanico, was obviously a champ for the Magpies back in the late 80s, early 90s.
And a
Um,
current
yeah, he's on the,
member of our bench team,
yes.
the AFL men's team.
Yep.
And BT constantly brings up the fact that he played for Collingwood and totally discounts,
Yep.
the magnificent portion of time he spent with Port Adelaide Football Club, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's come up across a couple of times this season when he's brought that up. Yeah, good old BT VFL bias. But yeah, she's with that family connection. She's grown up a Port fan. There's some good photos of her like in her younger years, like as a teenager, just like in Port Reebok gear, I think at the time.
It's another aspect of this pathway that I love too, is now it offers women the opportunity to represent the club that they love and that they have a genuine connection to, like Lammy there, and obviously Aaron Phillips. That's the most obvious one, but
Ashley Saint as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
She
She was telling stories about wearing her Port Guernsey to school under her
under a jumper.
school
Yeah.
uniform and things like that.
She did the jumper pull against the Crows last year as well, which is, being her former
yeah.
side was really fun. So yeah,
I mean, I love this club, and I love the fact that they can play for this club that we all love. That's
yeah,
awesome, in my opinion.
yeah. And Kirsty Lamb, interesting, so because she's going to be wearing number 35 for us. So she had a couple of numbers in mind. She wore number 27 at the Bulldogs, I think, because that's her birthday. So that was one of her choices. But obviously, Gemma Houghton wears that one. Her other choice would have been number 5, which is her favorite number, I think. But no, I'm blanking. Is that Derek?
I have it up here just quickly.
Why is it?
That is Abby Dowrick.
It is
Yes.
Derek. That's good. I'm learning slowly, but so she's picked number 35 because that was her favorite player for Port was Chad Corns.
Yeah, that's right. Now
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
so I love that she's got that deeper connection as a fan over years as well. So yeah, she's the big addition. But there's been a lot. Obviously, I already mentioned Lauren Young, who's highly rated, and she's only 18. She's torn her ACL, so again she won't play this year. But again, speaking to a youth push, she's going to be big going forward in the future years. Obviously, a decade plus, hopefully. So. But Piper Windows in the side as well. She was SANFL Best and Fairest winner at 18 years old for Glenelg, under 18 All-Australian captain. So highly rated as well. Alyssa Brooke via the draft as well. And then injury replacement. So as the off-season's gone on, obviously with the Hannah Dunn, Indy Tahoe, Hannah Ewings, the different reasons players have gone into the inactive list, we've added Caitlin Wenland, who's just 19 from Central Districts. Tegan Germish, who's only, I think, 21. She's played some time at GWS as an injury replacement there just last year. She's a tall defender. And then Joe Miller, who's been a train-on player with the club, was the most recent addition as an injury replacement. She's a former triathlete up until 2020, so hopefully a good tank, you'd hope.
I would assume so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's had a
It's
decent
bloody hard
year.
work.
Yeah, she's played with Glenelg along with being a train-on player with us and averaging 20 disposals, 6 clearances, 10 tackles. So, yeah, some decent and she's I think 25 as well. So, like even the injury replacements we're bringing in young to mid-tier, like mid-20s talent rather than we're trying to really build the youth movement. So, yeah, just wanted to run over all that quickly before we get into obviously. Yeah, the game. Now, I often say when it comes to my AFLW previews in the previous years, I'm still learning. I don't have nearly the depth of knowledge of players in the league as I do. Like obviously growing up with AFL men's, but I'm actively watching and learning. That's why just pulling out that Abby Darrick's number 5 was not something I would have done a couple of years ago. So, yeah, so we're going into the Crows game. The Crows team is a team that we do probably know better than most because us being in South Australia, they're clearly a very highly talented side. They do go in as favourites for this game, and they should be winning. But that's what's fun about being the underdogs in this one at Alberton Oval. And with just such youthful energy, and particularly with some of the players we've got in there now that have been playing for a couple of years, the likes of Ebony O'Day, who really came
Love
on.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Um,
growing in leaps and bounds every well, there's only been 2 years, but last year she
yeah.
just
She
went to
plays
another
football in
level.
the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
She's a bit of an eccentric character too.
yes, yeah. Um, my brother went to school with her, which he's always proud to.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, yeah, she's a faith kid out in the Faith Lutheran school out in the Barossa. Um, Emily Borg as well is one that's come like, right from the inaugural. There's a lot of these ones that were in our inaugural list. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, there's another couple. What's it? There's a couple of other names I forgot to mention before. I know because I've just seen them. Um, I know Shania Goody's one that we picked up in the off season as well, and she's actually looked all right in the preseason. Young midfielder. Um, I don't think I mentioned it before. Again, like there's so many additions and
No.
subtractions from lists in different signing periods. Like it wasn't just that everyone came in from the draft. So I think I forgot to mention her before, but she's yeah, Molly Brooksby as well is another one that came in the priority. So I think yeah, Molly Brooksby and Shania Goody also came in the priority signing period before the actual draft happened as well. Which is just again
Yeah.
a lot of different machinations to how lists get built in the inaugural years of the AFLW, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, alongside these young players that are coming in, we're now building a core of players that have been here since the inaugural season, like Emily Borg, Ebony O'Day, uh, you know, Juzzy Mules, Gemma Houghton, like Ashley Saint and Julia Teagle, like, and then obviously Matilda Scholes came on great last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I was,
Sachi
if
Symes one that
anyone,
I'm really enjoying as well, like since she's come
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. Sachi
Um,
Sim had a press conference earlier this season, and I mean, admittedly, it was very like media training type answers a lot of the time.
mhm,
Obviously, very fresh to press conferences. So yeah, a lot of the similar answers to a lot of similar questions, to be fair. But she held herself quite well, and you can obviously tell that she's keen to improve not only as a player but as a leader. And
mhm,
that's like there's a lot of these young, players who were very raw and young a couple of years ago when in our inaugural list who are now got a few preseasons under their belt, and have all stuck together. Alex Ballard's another one. But yeah, if I
yeah,
was going to talk about one player, it was definitely going to be Matilda Schultz. Like the
mhm,
impact that she had last season as a rookie was amazing.
mhm,
Um, and I'm really, really looking forward to her tearing up the competition this season. Hopefully that happens, because I think I mentioned it in our pre-season show where we kind of did a quick wrap up of the AFLW season.
mhm.
Mentioned that not only is she a fantastic footballer by all accounts. She's just a beautiful person in general as well, and just a bit of a larrikin, just someone that you'd love to be around your club.
Mhm.
The fact that she's so young, so imposing, just awesome. Just a player that, and like, yeah, we're talking about the infancy of the AFL women's competition. She's a player that I actually want to go watch play and watch her play football.
Mhm.
Um, which again is the whole the whole thing, right? Like, it's not going to be, yeah, it's not going to be fantastic in its first 10 years, but now we're getting, I have a daughter of my own, and I hope to take her to more games as she gets a bit older. Um,
That's dope
these are the
that she
people that
gets
she
to.
she will look up to.
Yeah, your
Um,
daughter's going to grow up in a world that's only known AFLW existing, which is really cool.
yeah, exactly, that
Now
exactly
the
right. And
AFL
but even
AFL
me,
itself
like
needs to
I'm
support it more, but
but
um,
yeah, like I go to the football this weekend, and I'm like, fucking, how is Matilda Schultz going to play? Like, I'm
mm,
I'm keen to see that, very keen to see that. I think she'll have a fantastic game and a fantastic year. So yeah, so I guess some of the constructive criticisms that I would have over the games that I didn't actually get to watch live or otherwise last year, like I said. But
mm,
from what I have seen since we've entered the AFLW is a bit of a disconnect between lines, which I think has been well noted and even admitted by them. And that's no surprise considering that they're all getting to know each other for the first time, really, in the
Mhm.
first couple of years. A lack of height, which then led to lack of genuine marking opportunities in the first couple of years, and disposal efficiency, which again, it's the professional league for women, but it's, as a whole still in its infancy in
Mhm.
regards to the grand scheme of things. So I'm hoping to see, yeah, a better synergy between lines. We have brought in some tool timber as well, over the last couple of off seasons. So those genuine marking opportunities hopefully come about more frequency. And yeah, and another preseason under the belt, hopefully an improved disposal efficiency. And so when all of those line up together, obviously helpful for us putting scores on the board, which is most important because yeah, I would be hoping to push towards the 8 this season.
Yeah. That's what the hope is, development, and being that there is a lot of teams kind of in that realm of developing over the last couple of years because the league did expand beyond, there's the powerhouses, which the Crows are one of them, which they're a good comparison because I remember watching that showdown last year and that second half where the Crows did get on top of us. It was just that their synergy between lines was so much more.
Yeah.
They could run the corridor footy stuff, whereas we just haven't had shown that
And it's
ability. And
just
again,
that
that's just
knowing where your teammate is going to be
yeah.
too. That, like you said, the Crows, their run off half back and some of those line breaking efforts, chains of possession are just because they know each other
Mhm.
more intricately. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to
and
cut you.
they've just had a system in place for 5 more years than we have. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a part of it, and that's what we've got to accept. But it's not an excuse. It's just it's reasons. Like both things can exist. It's like yeah, it's not when excusing being because you want to get better, but it is also a reason that there is a team that has been around for since the existence of the competition, which there's reasons for that and everything. But yeah, but it is, as you said, like, we've got exciting players to go see, like Scholes and, some of our big fours, like Houghton was an All Australian last year. Like, she had a great year last year after was looked all right in our inaugural year, but got injured, and missed I think it was at least half of the inaugural year. So, yeah, she
Yeah.
had a full
I think
year
it was a
last year. And
majority. Yeah.
yeah, I
Again,
feel
it's
like,
not long enough, but yeah.
yeah. And yeah, Ashley Saint, obviously an All Australian and a leading goal kicker at the Crows one of the years they won the premiership, I'm pretty sure. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
Julia Teakle's a great big forward as well. So and then yeah, like I said, watching Ebony O'Day go about a hard tackling, contested ball, pressure stuff. Like, if you want to see a play, like you won't see many AFL men's players play as hard as Ebony O'Day plays, as well as the
Well,
likes of
her and Abby Dowrick
Abby
in that
Dowrick
same
as well.
regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abby Dowrick blew like because Abby Dowrick was our second pick after Ewing's, I believe, wasn't she? Like in that inaugural draft.
No,
Oh,
she was like a supplementary pick because
that's
she
right, but
was overlooked from
that's
WA.
right. But she came second or third in
She,
the Rising Star, I think. Like we had two
yeah,
of the
yeah,
top
she
pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
she was up there for
She was right
sure.
up there with Hannah. But yeah, whereas Hannah, obviously fell away last year, and we just mentioned the reasons for that, and it's not criticizing Hannah at all. But whereas Abby's second year was like exponentially better than her first, and I think, did Abby end up
She wasn't all
She was an
She
All
was our best and
Australian
fairest, and I think she was an All Australian as well.
alongside with Gemma last year. So yeah, we had two All Australians last year. So yeah, beyond there's a lot of really,
Happy for
really
any of our listeners or viewers to fact check any of this.
yes,
It's
yeah.
yeah, haven't unfortunately done any as much in-depth analysis, and like
Mhm.
you said, don't know it like the back of our hands like we do the men's competition. But I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure she did get All Australian as well.
yeah, and yeah, she just plays like that's what I love. Well, I don't love it. I chuckle at the meatheads on Twitter that like to that have probably never watched an AFLW game, but just have the typical criticisms about it. Because there's some of those players, like some of the players, the way they play, like I said, O'Day and Darrick is just the two that come to mind. It's just some of the hardest football players you'll ever see. And they do it with a smile on their
Mm.
face. Ebony O'Day in
Yeah,
particular just
yeah,
runs
pretty
around.
uncompromising.
Yeah, she's just
Yeah,
got a smile on her face the whole time, just running around playing footy. But yeah, pretty uncompromising. And again, some of the big forwards that we have are genuine All Australian caliber. Like Ashley Saint, Gemma Houghton. Like we've got some really exciting tall forwards now. And what's exciting is the players around them, the ones that are delivering the ball are getting better as well. And we're bringing in more players. Like I'm really excited to see Kirsty Lamb play, obviously, as an All-Australian. I mean, she's an All-Australian midfielder, but she led the goal kicking for the Bulldogs last year. So she's a goal kicking midfielder. So
Yeah,
that's adding something to our game as well. Um,
absolutely.
Probably maybe takes over, obviously Erin Phillips is a big loss, but she was on the down. Like she actually provided a lot, obviously, her last couple of years. It is a small annoyance of mine. Just as not like annoyance with anything that can actually be changed, but just the fact that Erin Phillips couldn't get one game at Alberton in the prison bars. Like,
Yeah, they've made the call now. Yeah, for the
yeah,
prison bars.
yeah,
That is a little
but
disappointing.
that's just life, unfortunately. But she's paved the way for us to get here, so that's her impact is indelible in that sense. But yeah, I will. A lot of people that still don't follow the AFLW that much and maybe just getting their interest piqued this year by the fact that we're playing the showdown at Alberton Oval. Do just, again, I come from a point of view of still learning and trying to catch up as much as possible because I want to genuinely, they're an AFL side representing Port Adelaide. I want to follow them as heavily as I follow the men. So they're just,
Yeah,
yeah, I won't get into any of that dumbassery of, women's football is like, it's just like they're
it is what
footballers,
it is.
they're professional footballers representing Port Adelaide. I'll give them as much love as I do the men. I just don't have the background of knowledge of growing up with it like I did the men's competition. So I'm trying to catch up, but so but I still, with what I know and understand of how the competition is in its first, almost 10 years now, temper your expectations. Don't go in. These showdowns haven't gone. It's not like when the
Not like the
showdowns,
men's,
yeah,
the
the
21s
showdowns,
game.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the men's showdowns immediately started with a Port Adelaide side of experienced men. Like obviously the
Pretty
first
good players.
Yes, the first AFLW showdown was very one-sided. Last year was a distinct improvement, and we got ourselves in front for a bit, but the Crows shone in the end. Again this week, it's at Alberton, prison bars, and all that stuff, but it's still we are heavy underdogs. And yeah, I'd go in. But what I will say is, if you're not doing anything on Saturday night, and really there's a Port Adelaide. That's the thing that's annoying about people going, oh man, what am I going to do with that footy this weekend? If you're a Port fan, there's footy on this weekend now, and it's at Alberton Oval. You can go down and get beers at the
Yeah.
fuck.
They put in two temporary stands as well to accommodate more
Yeah.
people. Go to the precinct, go to the fucking port store. If you haven't checked out the museum yet, like it's all there. It's fucking awesome.
Alberton's
Alberton
an incredible spot
precinct.
now.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, like yeah, if you love
It
the
always
club,
has
in my
been, but
opinion,
yeah.
why wouldn't you want to just go there
Yeah. Just
um
hang out,
every
watch some
once in a
footy.
while
Yeah.
or yeah, yeah. Um I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, no, same. No, we're Port Nuffy, so it's pretty. But yeah, for some, if you even if you're thinking
In
about
saying
it, but
that, I think it will be pretty well attended. I
yes, I
don't think
believe
they
so
would have
too.
put the temporary stands in there if they didn't expect it to be. Um, so it'll be a good atmosphere for
Hmm.
sure. I remember the
Yeah,
first game at Alden Oval; it was fantastic, and from what I understand, is that hasn't dropped off in terms of atmosphere
yeah, because
since.
it's very accessible. Obviously, memberships are a lot cheaper than men's.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's no real excuse. I mean, you
yeah.
can
What
get
is it? I think it's $75 for the
75 bucks
season,
gets you a
and you
full
get
year.
free entry to
Yeah,
home games. So,
yeah, and
which
I
I
think
did
I think
on both accounts.
you actually get an entry to every game. I think. Like
Right.
if
Okay.
you happen to be interstate, they'll be like, yeah, you want to just let us know that you come because I know
Right.
my memberships last year. I because we were the away showdown last year, but my membership had access to it. I gave it to someone on Twitter. Like I said, I've got just
Yeah,
Port
I should be
fan.
meeting a friend there who's a Crows AFLW member and
Mm,
a men's AFL Adelaide
yeah,
member as well. But yeah,
I assume
I think
unless they've
she got a
changed
ticket,
it.
no worries. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
unless they've
know.
changed anything, I know that at least my first year when I was in Australia and I had an AFLW membership, when I went into the app, it showed up like
The away
when
games
when
too.
we were playing at
Yeah,
when we were playing at West Coast, I could have
yeah.
clicked on there that I was going to be there and it would have given me a ticket. So
Right.
yeah, obviously, most people are going to be just in one state, but the AFLW memberships are really, really cheap, accessible, and gets you at least five home games. I think we actually might have 6 this year, including the Showdown, because I think depending on how it works, I can't remember. I know we looked at the fixture um, back in March or whenever we did it. We were actually said that the fixture was really good for Port Adelaide, I think. Because there's a weird thing, like we're finishing off now. We'll finish off in a moment. I actually just want to look this up now because it's just a brain worm I have now. With the fixture. So we play the Showdown. It's loading. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've got 6 home games. So we've got 6 games at Alberton this year. So your membership's going to go to a lot. They're going to get you some really good value. And 3 of our last 4 games are at Alberton. We've got a Thursday night game against Collingwood, a Friday night game against St Kilda, and then the last week of the season we have a to be decided, kind of similar to how the AFL men's does it against GWS. But yeah, 6 home games this year at Alberton Oval, which is fantastic.
It's a good opportunity to, get the wins that we want to push up the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And some really just fun home games as well. Like get to go to Alberton and yeah, that's at least, I mean, there's 3 night games under the lights at Alberton that I can see there. So including the Showdown. So you got Showdown and Collingwood at Alberton Oval under the lights, which is just, you couldn't ask for a better night out. So yeah.
Yeah, weather's starting to pick up too. So yeah, it's all those all those fun aspects of going out and watching sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that about wraps it up, I think, on that front. Unless you've got anything else you wanted to add on that, but
no,
yeah,
really, I'm good. Go Port this weekend.
yeah, absolutely.
Get the win, break the duck, and look forward to taking a breath from men's football and recalibrating next week for the qualifying final.
Yeah. It is nice to just take a breath from that, but yeah, it is really important to know that we've still got Port footy happening this weekend, which is really great, with a Showdown on the line and bragging rights once again. So calm the pair this weekend, the Lady Pear at Alberton Oval. Get around them, show them your support, and as they continue to build into the powerhouse that they will be in a couple of years, if not sooner, hopefully. But yeah,
personally,
awesome to review and just go over what the season that's been somewhat, as well as the Freo game that was. We'll take a breath, recalibrate for the qualifying final next week, as you said. But for now, nothing more to be said than calm the pair. Plenty to pay for in both men's and women's going forward.
That's it. Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. Go Report.
Cheers.